What's going on, everybody? Fellow Talk Podcast back once again. I believe I might have missed last week, and I'd like to apologize for that. If didn't, I didn't. But I'm pretty sure I did. Today is kind of a two-topic podcast. We're going to be going over baseball and football today. Just me today as well. Couldn't get any of the guys on. They kind of wanted to, but they couldn't get on today, and I needed to get it out today. However, today we will be talking about the World Series. I have not talked about baseball really like in full since August when I had Dylan on the show. And we just talked about everything going on at that time. He'll be coming on soon, probably before they do awards, and maybe, which I think that might be coming up very soon, so we might need to do that soon. This week, I'm actually going to pump out 3 podcasts. Probably have 3 podcasts out. One today, one on Wednesday, and then one that is going to come out probably Friday morning. And you will have to tune in for those to know which ones those are going to be. So starting off today, we're going to start off with the World Series. Phillies and Astros. I mean, Astros, a lot of people expected to be there, but Phillies not so much. I mean, they've got a great offense, I will say, but just not the team that I was expecting. I mean, in my full opinion, I hate to say it, but I thought it was going to be a Dodgers-Astros World Series, which I would have hated because either way, I'm mad that the team won. However, it is not. It is an Astros-Phillies World Series. And I am excited to see the Phillies in there. They've been doing great. I love Bryce Harper. Glad to see that he's actually being able to succeed in the playoffs. I hope it's his turn to get a ring, just like Freddie Freeman was last year. I hope it's him this year. And so, got a couple things I'm going to talk about today, just kind of mainly Game 3 previews. But the most surprising and most disappointing my most surprising thing is just the Astros' ability to always start off hot. I mean, you look into it, and they just they're just incredible. First 2 innings, they have scored 8 runs of the 10 total runs they've scored. All of the runs came in the first 5 innings of baseball. Now, that could be seen as a problem, as a gift and a curse, because the fact that they've scored no runs from the 6th to the 9th is a bit concerning, especially for Game 1 when they were up 5-0 and the Phillies ended up winning that game 6-5 in the 10th. Just kind of shows their lack of being able to finish the game, and that's something you don't want, especially in the World Series when there's a team like the Phillies who will always have those guys who can bat so well. They have the capability to make the game change just like that. Guys like Kyle Schwarber, guys like Castellanos, obviously Bryce Harper, you got JT Realmuto, Rhys Hoskins. They just got so many guys who can sit out there, just go up there and just change the direction of a game just off of one swing of the bat. But that, I mean, it's still a great thing for the Astros starting off hot in the games. But I'd say the most disappointing things was Verlander in Game 1. He does have a terrible ERA career-wise, 6.07 ERA in 43 innings pitched in the World Series. Not great for a guy like Justin Verlander, who's had such a great career and such great success throughout his career, with probably being the American League Cy Young this year. However, another thing is the Phillies offense just not being there. Their team was built this offseason for a World Series run, but it was built for their offense to do 99% of the stuff. And when their offense isn't competing enough, scoring 2 runs in the Game 2, and not having to wait, not being able to score how many runs in the first couple innings in Game 1, just it's a little scary if you're a Philadelphia fan, because you don't want that to keep happening, because then the Astros are going to come out of this World Series with a win. But those are like the surprising disappointings. We're going to Game 3 preview. The probable pitchers for today are going to be Noah Syndergaard and Lance McCullers Jr. In my opinion, I think the Astros slightly get the upper edge. I think McCullers is slightly better than Syndergaard. I love Syndergaard, though. I loved him when he was in York. However, I just think I love McCullers too. He should be good, better and good on the mound for the Astros. I've got a couple key ways for them to win. Is Philly needs to get out of every jam possible when their pitchers are in a jam. They cannot let the runners on base in for Houston capitalize every single time, because that will be bad for them, and obviously it's bad for any team, but it's just something that's going to happen. Houston's going to be able to get players on base. And the thing is, for Philly, is they're going to also get players on base, but they need to get those guys on base and score. They have left 15 runners on base in the first 2 games. And that is, I mean, with a team that scored 8 total runs in the World Series, 15 more is possibility. And with that team, it is definitely something that could have happened with the high-powered offense they are. And another big key point for me is Noah Syndergaard needs to be able to go deep into the game. At least 4+ is what I would say is ideal for Philadelphia. And Harper needs to be able to get hits. Game 1, they won the game, and Bryce Harper had 2 hits. Game 2, they lost. Bryce Harper was over. I'm not saying there's a correlation between them winning and losing and Bryce Harper getting hits, because obviously they've won games where Bryce Harper doesn't get hits, but he is the heart and soul of the Philadelphia offense. He's going to need to do stuff if they want to beat Houston. And then for Houston, what I've got is that Houston needs to make Syndergaard get in trouble early, take that early lead like they have been, make the Phillies play from behind most of the game. Just like I said earlier, 8 runs in the first 2 innings of the first 2 games. And they can't have any defensive missteps. You give the Phillies a second life, they are going to make you pay. And especially with games 3 through 5 being in Philly, biggest thing here, do not let Philly's crowd be a problem. Once Philly's crowd becomes a problem to teams that are on the road against them, that is when they are done for. Because Philadelphia is a very violent crowd. Like a scary crowd. They will make a team. They'll make a team pay, and that's basically really. I know it was kind of short, but that's really all I got to say about World Series. I know if I had my buddies on, that we probably could talk about it for hours. However, Game 3 has actually been postponed once again. Due to rain, it is now going to be pushed back to tomorrow. So tune in Game 3 at 8:03 p.m. Eastern, 5:03 p.m. Pacific tomorrow on Wednesday for Game 3, Philly versus Houston, and then Game 4 Thursday. Game 5. Game 5 is they're gonna have to. Yeah. Wait a minute. I didn't say that right. Or Game 3, I'm sorry. Game 3. Yes, Game 3 is tomorrow. Yes, Game 3 is tomorrow. Sorry. So, yeah. Just tune into that. And we're going to move on to our next big thing. This is a big section. This will probably be a shorter episode today as well, just because they're just me speaking on these. And sorry. The trade deadline is what we're going to be talking about today. The NFL trade deadline was on November 1st, which is today. There has been a lot of trades in this past week that I have not been able to talk about. The most recent one we talked about was the Christian McCaffrey trade. I talked about that with Cameron and Michael when that happened. That was, I believe, the day after. I believe that was the Friday. Yep. But now with the Week 8 being over, which we will talk about tomorrow, Week 8 will be talked about. We can now talk about all the trades happening in the week and basically my thoughts on a lot of them and basically what I think is the biggest winner from the trade deadline. So starting off, we're going to go back all the way to October 25th. where James Robinson was dealt from Jacksonville to New York uh, for a 2023 conditional sixth round pick with the possibility of it becoming a fifth. Um, New York did this on the same day when they found out that Breece Hall would be out for the rest of the season. Unfortunate event that happened last week when Breece Hall tore his ACL. Finally was breaking out and showing that he is going to be the next big thing, because I love Breece Hall. I remember watching him at Iowa State. He just kicked TCU to the ground every time they played. And I'm a big TCU fan, so that kind of made me angry. And for this trade, I think it was smart for New York to do. I think it was also smart for Jacksonville to do. Jacksonville was looking like they were getting ready to move on from James Robinson, move on from the undrafted free agent, although I feel like has wronged. He was always a pretty good running back, pretty solid guy. Travis Etienne's also just a superstar. Back in college, he was. And I feel like he has that capability in the NFL, especially with his quarterback, his college buddy, Lawrence. This trade's good for both sides because it finally gives Etienne that full workload. As we saw on Sunday, despite their loss, he proved it heavily that he deserves that workload. And now James Robinson will be able to split the backfield with Michael Carter in New York. I'm glad to see Michael Carter be able to get his chance too again, because he had a solid rookie season last year. The other October 25th trade was between the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. Dallas traded for Jonathan Hankins, the defensive tackle, and a 2024 seventh rounder to Las Vegas for a 2023 sixth rounder. I didn't really look into this one too much. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Dallas gets another pass rusher, or a guy for their pass rush. So good for them. October 26th, this is a big one. Philadelphia got Robert Quinn from Chicago for a 2023 fourth round pick. I think this one was actually a very underlooked trade. I think it was a great trade for Chicago, for Philly. Getting a guy like Robert Quinn, who is a little bit on the older side now, I believe. However, getting that good of a pass rusher, a man who had, I think, broken the Bears' record, single season sack record last season with about like 20 and a half. I believe that was right. He was second in sacks by TJ Watt last year, and only getting him for a fourth rounder. That's a big thing for them. Adds to their weapons with how many people got on that defense. This just makes Philly even better. And then obviously now they're 7-0. It just adds on more. Going to October 27th, we're going to have Kadarius Toney was dealt to the Chiefs from the Giants for a 2023 third and 2023 sixth. Kadarius Toney came out and said he's healthy apparently now. I think he just wanted out of New York, which some people could understand. I kind of understand. Despite New York being 6-2, excuse me. Despite New York being 6-2, Kadarius Toney will have a better career in Kansas City if he gets to play and stays healthy. Especially with a weapon with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. So now they've got Mahomes, Kelsey, Juju, Valdez-Scantling, McCole Hardman. They've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know. Jerick McKinnon. Like, this team is good. And just don't doubt them. Despite being 4-2, I believe. Do not doubt them. 5-2. One of those. And then obviously the Giants, they kind of got what they wanted. They got rid of Kadarius. And going on to today. Today was the trade deadline. It has passed. And we had quite a bit of trades today. We saw some names traded around. And we're going to start with Roquan Smith from the Chicago Bears. I know in the offseason there was a little bit of the drama about how he was probably going to not be a Chicago Bear going into next season. And that was correct. He is technically half correct. Roquan Smith was the Baltimore. Baltimore picked up a great middle linebacker for a defense that kind of has been struggling this year. I feel like this was a good trade for Baltimore, giving up A.J. Klein, 2023 second and 2025. They're making an upgrade at linebacker. However, giving up two picks is not this year is maybe not ideal, but it's something that they had to do to get a guy like Roquan Smith, who is a playmaker. So I would do it if I were them, and they did it. So I'm not going to bash on them for it. It's overall a good trade for them. And going to the next trade, this is probably the biggest deal that I think helped out one team, biggest lopsided trade. The Lions traded within the division today and traded T.J. Hawkinson, a former first-round pick out of Iowa, to their divisional rival, the Minnesota Vikings, for 2 fourth-round, and they sent 2 fourth-round picks from this year, and all they got was a 2023 second, 2024 third. T.J. Hawkinson's a very good. Easily on that top 5 range. However, for the sake of Detroit, they're a young squad. Yes, T.J. Hawkinson is a younger player, but they've got a rookie tight end who's shown pretty decent whenever he's in. And but I still think the Vikings won this trade by a long shot. The fact that they got more in return for what they're giving up for a guy like T.J. Hawkinson is a little crazy to me. And the Lions, you can definitely tell they are not on the win now mode anymore, even though they had all the offseason hype, being the hard knock team and all that and this and that and that. It's kind of showing that they're still in that rebuild mode. And I mean, they are. So plus, the Vikings 6-1 after their win against Arizona. They're a team to look out for. They are. It's a very impressive start for a guy like Kirk, especially when the team went, I believe, 8-9 last year. Just a team that's always been struggling to get over that 500 mark, and just having the new coach there, just having a new playbook. Justin Jefferson just being unlocked, and I can't think of the coach's name. Kevin O'Connell, yes. Just showing that he's he can be a good head coach too, after being under a great head coach in Sean McVay, who's already won a Super Bowl, already been to 2, and so that's enough for that one. Next one, we're going with another NFC North team getting a trade. Justin Fields is finally getting help at wide receiver. The Bears traded for Chase Claypool, got him from Pittsburgh for a 2023 second rounder. Now, do I think Chase Claypool is worth a second rounder? No, Chase Claypool is not worth a second round. If anything, I would have given up a 4th and a 5th for Chase Claypool. And that may sound a little disrespectful and a little lowballing of Chase Claypool, but I just don't think Chase Claypool is that good of a player. Especially because a second-round pick can be a good player still, especially if it is the Bears' second. No offense, but the Bears' second-round pick. I think it's still a good trade nonetheless for Chicago because of their desperate need of a wide receiver. But yeah. All right. So next trade was Pittsburgh got Williams Jackson III and a 2025 7th for a 2025 6th. They got those 2 from Washington. A little bit more of an don't really care trade. Unless you're a Pittsburgh or a Washington fan, maybe you do care a little more. I'm not really gonna go over it too much. Just there you go. 2025 round, 2025 picks, so not too important. we'll move on to the next one, which is a bigger one. Bradley Chubb has been moved from Denver to Miami. Headed to South Beach with a 2025 fifth alongside of him for a 2023 first, a 2024 fourth, and our running back Chase Edmonds. Now, this is honestly a huge trade. Chase Edmonds going to Denver is on a big move for Denver too, especially with Javonte Williams being out for the entire year. Then this will give you questions. Will Melvin Gordon won't get the workload anymore? What's Latavius Murray's job on the team? Is Chase Edmonds going to see more touches in the backfield? However, we do not know because we are not Denver. And then obviously Miami's getting Bradley Chubb with Jalen Phillips on the other side already. Christian Wilkins in their D-line. I mean, this is just the Dolphins' defense gets even better despite being one of the best defenses already, which is crazy to me. Now, however, next one, another thing for the Dolphins is Jeff Wilson Jr., the 49ers running back, has also been traded to Miami as for a fifth-round pick. Jeff Wilson Jr. He was a pretty solid running back for San Francisco after what's his name got hurt. I can't think of the guy's name. But Christian McCaffrey obviously now is a San Francisco 49er, so it's kind of makes sense why they're trading off Jeff Wilson Jr. And now he's going to get his chance in Miami after they traded off Chase Edmonds. He's going to be competing with Raheem Mostert for the snaps, which is kind of funny because Raheem Mostert, a former 49er as well. Okay, next one we've got going is the Jags trade for a suspended wide receiver, gambling man Calvin Ridley. Now, they gave up 2023 fifth and a 2024 second. Calvin Ridley is a solidified wide receiver one when he plays. I think it's an amazing trade for Jacksonville. Him not being able to play this year, I think it's great for Lawrence to get himself a established wide receiver one. However, Christian Kirk really isn't an established wide receiver one just yet. To see him get himself a weapon like that is good. So I think Jacksonville definitely did win this trade, getting Calvin Ridley. However, Atlanta's doing fine without him. 4-4. This is it's honestly, as a Saints fan, even not liking the Falcons, it's kind of nice to see Mariota succeed and just see a lot of their players do well, like Cordell Patterson. And then next trade, we got the Broncos traded back for another defensive end after giving up Bradley Chubb, Jacob Martin, and a 2024 fifth for a 2024 fourth to the Jets. Not really something I care about too badly, so there's that. And then the Bills and Dolphins traded their running backs, did a little running back swap. Naheem Hines and Zach Moss swapped teams, and I believe a seventh rounder went with Zach Moss to Indianapolis as well. Naheem Hines was getting some pretty meaningful snaps for Indianapolis. However, Jonathan Taylor is now healthy again, so that doesn't mean much. That doesn't mean much for him anymore. Devin Singletary is the starting running back for Buffalo. It's just a swap of backup running backs, which is not a bad trade. I think the Buffalo Bills definitely did get a better backup. I think Naheem Hines is a starter caliber. He started for Indianapolis before Jonathan Taylor had his blow up. So he definitely is the better running back in this trade. Going into the second to last one, I've got it down here. Atlanta traded for Rashad Fenton from Kansas City for a 2023 seventh. Rashad Fenton, in the games I've seen him play, he's been okay. He's been a decent player. I think it's not too big of a deal. So. And then the last one I've got here, not too big of a deal either. Buffalo added Dean Marlowe from Atlanta for a 2023 seventh. Another not very big deal, but going into it, I think the Vikings won their biggest trade with getting T.J. Hawkinson and 2 fourth-round picks for a team that is 6-1 already. Irv Smith Jr. won't be obviously won't be seen in the field as much anymore. But T.J. Hawkinson, who is a top 5 tight end, will now be on a team that has a top 5 wide receiver and a top 12 quarterback in the league. The only thing that they have to do now is just keep on playing well, and it's showing. They're showing like they're doing it right now. So that's gonna be it for the trade deadline and for the World Series. I don't got much to say after this. I know it was a really short one. I wanted to just get a podcast episode out today, just the kind of overview of what happened. Tomorrow we'll probably talk a little bit more in depth with my buddies on it as we talk through the Week 8 recap. So make sure you tune into that tomorrow. And I appreciate all y'all for listening. Thanks for it's really really short one, almost as short as the interview with Coach Eck, but it's just because I'm gonna have multiple episodes coming out this week. So don't be worried. I'm not just screwing you guys over. You'll be getting episodes this week. So I wanted to point that out. And thanks for watching this. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure to follow on Spotify and Apple, and follow my Instagram at Tello Talk Sports for updates or whatnot, and then also the Twitter, which will be linked in the Instagram. Thank you for everything, and have a great day. Have a great night whenever you're listening to this, and peace out.